So lots of video game Easter eggs reference things that we already know. But sometimes an Easter egg is so weird that there is no way of explaining it. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 15 of the weirdest video game Easter eggs I've ever seen. If you think you know of an Easter egg that would have been perfect for this video, then let me know in the comments and I'll credit you in a future video. And at the time of recording, we are just 73,000 subscribers away from the magical 1 million. So if you haven't already, absolutely smash that subscribe button. Anyway, without further delay, let's get started. Right, let's begin today's video with Titanic, Honour and Glory. Now, I'm guessing that many of you won't have heard of Honour and Glory, but it's actually been in development since 2012. The footage that you're watching now is of the game's demo, but it's about as bare bones as a demo can get, with the only real draw being able to explore part of the infamous doomed cruise liner. Well, despite being in development limbo for nigh on 12 years, the devs did find time to sneak in one of the strangest Easter eggs I think I've ever seen. When exploring the ship, if you approach the door that I do, this will happen. Now, I don't know about you, but there is something about this face that I find really creepy. As for the identity of the man, well, I'm not sure. A brief Google search didn't yield any answers, so if you happen to know who this is, let me know in the comments. Now, when compared to the original game, Watch Dogs 2 was a much more light-hearted affair. Whether that made the game better or worse is up to you, but for the most part, Watch Dogs 2 didn't take itself too seriously. With that in mind, this next Easter egg sticks out like a sore thumb. Well, it's actually pretty well hidden, but you get what I mean. Anyway, at this location on the map, you can find this. So inside of a random vent, you can find a dead body, which is very weird. As far as I know, there aren't any other examples of random dead bodies to find in Watch Dogs 2, which if anything makes this even weirder. I think I'm going to be saying this a lot in this video, but if you know anything about this Easter egg, let me know in the comments. So 112 Operator is a game that puts you in the chair of an emergency services operator. It's up to you to manage where to send who, with some incidents requiring the attention of the police, ambulance and fire engine. It's actually a pretty decent game, and it's also a game that is hiding a weird but hilarious Easter egg. One of the emergency calls that you can receive is this.
112, what's your emergency?
I just called to say I love you. I just
Hello?
called to say how much I
Is it me you're looking for?
I just called.
'Cause I wonder where you are,
I love
and I wonder what you do.
and I mean it.
You're all I've ever wanted, and I love you too. Bye, buddy.
14 County 97.
So your character and a random caller can sing the Lionel Richie classic Hello together. I mean, the song is a banger, so I fully understand. Now, when it comes to weird Easter eggs, there is probably no greater series for finding the weird and wonderful than the Postal series. Whether it's a sentient bookcase or a couple of gnomes getting to know each other, if you want weird, play Postal. For proof of this, look no further than this next Easter egg. So this is a giant baby that I'm guessing has been carved into the mountain. I mean, I highly doubt that Mother Nature played a part in this. To make things even weirder, the mountain will cry just like a baby, which to be honest, is actually kind of creepy. Actually, there is maybe one other video game franchise that gives the Postal games a run for their money when it comes to being weird. Despite the name, Serious Sam is very much a game that doesn't take itself seriously, prioritising the fun that can be had by shooting everything in sight over pretty much all else. Well, there is one occasion in Serious Sam 4 where not shooting something might be the best thing to do. On the Death from Above level, you can find this. So, to be fair, the sign says do not shoot cows. It doesn't say don't shoot the sign. But sure enough, shooting the sign will cause the Cow King to spawn. The Cow King is a formidable foe. If you're lucky, you can get the king trapped in the scenery, allowing you to pick him off at your leisure. But he doesn't drop anything particularly interesting, so you could just let him spend the rest of his days here. It's up to you. Now, there was a time when James Bond games were about as common as me saying, you can find this. But times have changed, and if you want a taste of 007 action, you'll have to take a trip back in time. One of the best Bond games of the PS2 era was Everything or Nothing, which unlike the other Bond games released at the time was a third-person cover shooter. It's not the most serious of games. I mean, it's a Bond game, so what did you expect? But there is an Easter egg that can be found that I think is really weird. When chasing down Jaws using a motorbike, if you stick to the left-hand side of the road, eventually you'll find this.
007, Jaws is only 3 miles from the city. Do hurry.
So to find this creepy looking balloon thing, you have to drive on this side of the road for a solid 4 minutes. At this point, many people will have just completed the level, so if you manage to find this demonic inflatable when you played the game, that means you were probably very bad at Everything or Nothing. So Dead Island Riptide is a continuation of the story of Dead Island, but it's not Dead Island 2 as that would release much later in 2023. Which makes all of the sense. I mean, to be fair, Riptide was more of the same, so it probably didn't deserve the full numbered sequel treatment anyway. Now, there is a saying that goes, big things come in small packages. But what about small things that come in small packages? Well, we're about to find out. So inside the crate is the toolbox midget, and that's not me saying that, that's what he's called in game. Anyway, this tiny zombie is ferocious, so you'll need to size him up before taking him on. To be honest, I was short on ideas at first, but it wasn't long before I had the measure of him and ended the fight. Okay, that's enough short puns. Now, DayZ is a game about fighting off hordes of the undead, whilst managing other things like thirst and hunger. So it's already a pretty tense experience. Well, what if I told you that it's not only zombies you have to fear? What if I told you that Santa is in town, and you definitely don't want to be on his naughty list? In one of the chimney stacks, you can find this. So if this isn't the creepiest Santa you've ever seen, then please tell me what beats it. So Wasteland 3 is a post-apocalyptic turn-based RPG that can be pretty depressing to play. Don't get me wrong, the game is great, but the world and the scenarios that you find yourself in can be so dire that it feels like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. Well, what if I told you there was a light at the end of the tunnel? And that light was a Knight of Passion with a goat. If you go to the Little Vegas brothel, you can find a goat called Joker. Now, you may think that Joker belongs to someone who works at the brothel, but he is actually an employee of the brothel, which means exactly what you think it does. If you put money in Joker's bucket, he will unfurl his glistening 8-inch tongue. And nearby, we can find a bed, which is apparently where the magic happens. If you explore the room further, you can find a recording of what exactly goes down in this room.
Oh, hi. Aren't you a sexy little thing? This is my first time. So, how do we do this? Do I just... Oh! Whoa, okay. Take it off? On my knees? Okay. Oh God.
I mean, I said I'd give you weird Easter eggs, and I don't think it gets much weirder than this. Speaking of relations with animals, up next is Stubbs the Zombie, Rebel Without a Pulse. During the Fall of House of Otis level, Stubbs finds himself on a farm taking on some shotgun-toting hillbillies. The thing is, not all the farmers are interested in taking you down. In fact, one of the farmers has much more important things to do.
I will win your love.
From this day forward, zombies and sheep will be friends.
So the hillbilly was determined to win the sheep's love. I mean, quite how he wanted to do that, I'll leave up to your imagination. But saving the sheep from ending up as a farmer's new special friend will form a zombie and sheep bond that will remain unbroken for all time. Now, not all weird video game Easter eggs are as strange as animal-loving farmers. Sometimes an Easter egg may be weird just because something is so out of place. Take historical sword-swinging melee game Chivalry 2 as an example. For the most part, the game is historically accurate, and that of course includes the various weapons that you can wield. Well, on the courtyard level, you can find a weapon that definitely isn't historically accurate. So you can make the wise decision to drop your shield and pick up a coffee cup with the name Melrick written on it. Of course, you've now lost the ability to block incoming attacks, but on the plus side, you can now take a sip of that sweet, sweet caffeine whenever you want. Now, Totally Reliable Delivery Service is a game that sees you delivering packages while struggling to make sure your character doesn't just fall over. It's got the whole human fall flat / gang beast physics thing going on. And to be honest, it can be funny when played with friends. Of course, if you're delivering packages, then you'll need to make use of the game's various vehicles, which range from normal golf buggy-like rides to full-on airplanes. Well, if you grab one of these planes and fly out of the map, you can find this. So you have to fly for near on 2 minutes before finding anything, but when you do, you find a giant teddy bear. On top of the teddy is a man who apparently hasn't seen anyone in years, and that's despite having a perfectly functioning rocket ship nearby. It's such a random Easter egg that I find pretty damn weird. So when people talk about F.E.A.R and its DLC Extraction Point, they usually bring up the game's advanced AI or its incredibly brutal shotgun. But if you were to ask me about those games, I would mention the rotund man who enjoyed a good dance. And no, I'm not talking about myself. On the hospital level, if you shoot the vent that I do, this will happen. Now, I know I've said that I don't know what's going on a lot in this video, but this time I do. This is Norton Mapes, who is a survivor from a previous mission in the Extraction Point DLC. So that covers the who, but why he's dancing in a hidden room? Well, you're on your own for that one. The final Easter egg for today's video can be found in the diamond in the rough first-person shooter Brazilian Root. This game was made by just 2 people, which is more than 1 person, but less than 3. You're welcome. With its limited team in mind, it's actually a very competent first-person shooter that is often on sale for as little as 84p, which is just insanely cheap. Anyway, on the game's first level, you can find this cryptic message, which doesn't seem to make much sense. Well, if you shoot this nearby rock enough times, this will happen. So shooting the rocks will awaken a giant rock monster. I mean, quite how this big guy is linked to the message we read earlier, I don't know, I'm just guessing that it is. Again, if you have any theories on this Easter egg or any of the Easter eggs in this video, then let me know in the comments. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video, then a like is really appreciated. If you are a fan of Easter eggs and details in games and want to help me hit 1 million subscribers, then consider hitting subscribe. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon.